In this video, I show you how to make a one-piece cake stand with a flat top. I show you two techniques that actively avoid some of the common pitfalls in making a cake stand, slumping and warping. So let's get started. I start by wedging my clay. I'm preparing 2.2 kilos of clay. I'm using a fine white earthenware clay that doesn't vitrify in the firing and tends not to slump. So I center the clay. My clay is quite soft, which makes the whole process of bringing the clay out into a plate easy. And I flatten the top. So I don't completely flatten the top, I want to leave about a quarter of the clay in the center. So I bring the rest of the clay out as if for a plate. I compress and flatten the plate part, but I want to leave extra in the rim. So I'm creating an upturned rim, which will later become a downturned rim. Remember, we're making this cake plate upside down. So I make sure I remember to compress the outer part of the plate. Now I'm ready to form the foot. So I push down into the clay in the center of the plate. I make sure I don't push down too far here. I want the thickness on the inside to be similar to the thickness on the outer plate. And now I open out and I can start to pull up the walls. I bring up the walls to the required height. I'm going to leave plenty of clay in the rim, so the rim's quite thick. This is going to be the foot of the cake stand, so the cake stand sits on it. I want a really sturdy foot. Now that I have the height, I can start to shape the base. I want an elegant curve. The thinnest part of the stand is a little below where the stand meets the plate. So I compress and finish shaping. I don't wire through my plate when I'm finished, but you might want to. So from my experience with this clay and my bats, my clay will dry enough and just pop off the bat. If this doesn't work for you, you may need to wire through while you still can. By that I mean not when your clay's super wet. Let it firm a little, but you still need to be able to easily wire through. And then I'm going to let my plate dry. This time to a little more than leather hard. By this I mean I can still trim just, and I won't deform the clay. So I flip and center. And if you need to, attach with some clay lugs. So the trimming is pretty simple here. I start by trimming the outer edge. And I trim straight across the top. I'm keeping it flat as I don't want the interruption of the upturned rim. And that's it. I smooth with a sponge and then I compress with my rib. And so once I'm done, I'll dry and bisque fire. So now to glaze. So glazing presents its own issues. It's not as easy as a plate as it has the extra stand. So I'm going to glaze inside the foot first. I do this by pouring glaze into the footwell and then pouring out. So far so good. Now I glaze the outside of the foot ring. So I have a bucket of glaze that's slightly larger than the foot ring. I place this in a pan so that it can catch any spillage. I place the foot ring into this bucket of glaze. The inside won't be double glazed because air is trapped inside. So I let this dry fully. And now I glaze the plate. I pour the glaze into the pan and just glaze the plate. Easy. Now all I have to do is clean the rim on the base and it's fully glazed. And then I fire. I find cake stands super satisfying to make, and I think that cake stands make the most amazing gift with or without a cake. So now to serve. I've really come around to the flat top for ease of use, and I think this design is particularly easy to make. So here's a recap of the two techniques I've used in making this cake stand. 1. Try a single piece design with a downward turned rim to avoid warping. And the second, try to dry to more than leather hard before moving to avoid slumping and misshaping. So I hope these techniques are useful. If you want more cake stand action, check out my 2-piece cake stand. And as always, happy making.